Hi, I'm Becky from Dot to Dot Studio, and we're back after a long gap with a microphone. So please tell me if you can hear me better in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to talk to you today about white fabric, a white ivory cream. It doesn't photograph very well. It's hard to buy online because you don't know what you're buying. You can't feel the fabric. So I'm going to try and act as your hands today and show you how this fabric behaves and how it feels so that you have a bit more idea about what you're buying if you like to buy white and ivory fabrics. At this time of year, and it is so hot in the UK at the moment, I think there's nothing better than just a lovely light top, just basics. You can buy them really easy in the shops, but they never fit that well. So it's really lovely to be able to make your own basic blouses, shirts, tops. I'm going to start with the lightest weight fabrics and work my way up to the heaviest. And you can see how they behave, and I'll talk about compositions as well, and a few pattern suggestions thrown in for good measure. So I'm going to start off with this really lightweight, gauzy, 100% cotton. This is relatively densely woven, actually, so you can't see actual holes through the fabric, but it is quite translucent. It has a nice light float to it. Full disclosure, I actually bought this to make curtains for my daughter's bedroom because I wanted something really light that the light can travel through, but it was so nice I bought more for the shop as well. So this has a lovely light textured finish. It's never going to be completely flat and smooth, and I think this would be beautiful for something like the Judy top, which works really well when you can actually see the details and it's slightly translucent. It would also be lovely for the Tropicana if you wanted a very lightweight raglan sleeved blouse. So that is a lightweight 100% cotton with a little bit of a texture. Also, in the lightweight department, I have this Dobby weave, which is a cotton lawn with this sort of line detail and little eyelet holes going through it. So really crisp, lovely. Oh, someone's just made a Donny shirt in this. It looks beautiful. So this is an ivory rather than a pure white. Actually, pretty much all these fabrics are ivory, but I'll talk to you about the actual colours as well. This would also work beautifully for something like the Tropicana shirt or the Judy top. It would work also for the Piper tunic. There's loads of things that would be really lovely for. That's got a slightly crisp handle and it softens down nicely when it's handled and worked with. Then other fabrics in the lightweight end of the spectrum are embroidered lawns. So broderie anglaise, but some of them have a more densely embroidered surface than others. This one's got a very loose embroidered surface, so there's lots of plain fabric in between. So you can see how this has a translucent quality to it. Again, really pretty for just lightweight summer blouses. All these patterns I've talked about already will work well for this. So that's really delicate. Doesn't have any scalloped edges on this one, but that actually sometimes restricts you when you've got the scalloped edges because you feel like you have to use them. That's definitely an ivory. This one then is even paler. This is actually verging on white. This one has a very definite direction to it as well. These little sprigs, these little floral sprigs. Look how beautiful that is. So being more densely embroidered, I think this would work well for something like, oh, actually, again, that would be beautiful for that. And the Zanzibar top, which I've made and looks stunning. You can also use that for something with the scallop going along the bottom edge. So that one with an all-over design. Then this one, which has a slightly looser design again, and a double scalloped edge, which is really handy if you want to have a cuff or a hem with that pretty edge on it so that you can cut those shapes going across the bottom. That would look really gorgeous in the Zanzibar. I might make that actually. That would be really nice. Oh, I'd already have one. I already have one. I made one last year in a different fabric. So those are the lightest weights. So most of those are sort of around the cotton lawn kind of end of the spectrum. Then we have, moving on to slightly heavier. Actually, I'm going to talk to you about poplin. This kind of belongs on its own. So poplin is sort of the next weight up. You can probably hear that's got like a lovely crisp handle to it. This one's a pure white. I mean, the pure white classic shirt. That's really what that is crying out to be. And also, so something like the Jenna or the Cali shirt, but also how fun would it be with those big ruffles? Actually, those ruffles as well would also work really well with this double scalloped edge. So that's the gelato dress or blouse. And so cotton poplin, slightly more densely woven. The fibres, when they're woven in the poplin, are twisted slightly, so it gives it a bouncier finish. Then moving on to the same sort of weight fabrics, but with a very different feel. So we've got a viscose. This one is is this the Rosella? This is the viscose lawn. So you can see how differently a viscose lawn behaves to a cotton lawn. Much more drape, much more flow and float. So you get that sort of drifty, floppy, works really well on the bias. This fabric as well, I think, is an excellent choice for lining. So if you're making something out of, any kind of viscosy fabric that wants a floppy lining, but that feels cool, doesn't feel clingy, that's a really lovely choice. And that would be stunning as well in something very simple like the strata top. Then for a little bit more texture, add in a bit of linen. So this is a viscose linen. You can probably see from there, I don't know if you can see the texture of that. So it's got a slubby texture, which is because of the linen content. So with this, I mean, I love this fabric. It's the best of both worlds. You get the drape of viscose and then that texture and that beautiful handle of a linen. I've made lots of things out of this actually. And I did do a little video on this on Instagram recently. I generally prefer to make garments out of this that don't have full facings, maybe just a turn back or a bias bound edge, because this fabric stretches and gives when you wear it, and anything with a very restrictive facing tends to stay the same size, and then the garment tends to sort of grow. And I think it's better if the whole garment and facings can grow together. I hope that makes sense. So moving on from that one, we have Rosella, which is a viscose and elastane. So this has that lovely drape again and flow of a viscose, but with the additional benefit of the stretch. So if you're making something more like a tailored shirt and you want it to look sort of drapey and flowy, but maybe you've got to do a lot of driving for work, maybe you just want something with just a bit more give, this is a beautiful choice. We do have this in other colours as well, but this is a video about white fabric. So that's a lovely choice. It's also not too see-through. You can actually make trousers out of this. So, I mean, you wouldn't want to wear your polka dot knickers under that, but that's really good for trousers as well. Then moving sort of sideways, weight-wise, this is a thicker fabric than it may look. It's actually quite gauzy, but it's a thicker cotton. So it's sort of actually slightly lighter than the ones I've just shown you. This is a pure cotton, not a double gauze. This is a single layer fabric. I'm cheating a bit because it's got a little black dot on it, but I think it's really sweet anyway. This will look great as the strata top. In fact, someone was wearing one last night. I can vouch for this. That looks gorgeous made up together. Lovely soft handle, softens more the more you wear it, and great for the hot weather. Then we've got double gauze. You're probably all familiar with the double gauze, but if not, let me explain. So a double gauze is two very fine layers of cloth that are literally woven as one. So sort of every 10th thread goes through both layers and holds them together. So if I peel the edge of this away, I don't know if you can see there, actually two very fine layers of cloth together that, yeah, like about every 10th thread is caught through both layers. Really popular for baby clothes, really popular for summer clothes in general. Pajamas are lovely made out of this. Nothing too structured. You can see from the cloth it's very loosely woven. I would really like this made up. So the Revel topper, which I've just made up in a really lightweight rayon, I think this version here on the cover would look amazing in this. I also think this would look amazing made up in the linen viscose mix, the lightweight linen viscose. That would be stunning. In fact, I'm going to make one of those in blue, probably my next make, although my to make lift is quite fluid. So moving on slightly heavier, we've got this waffle, which is again a sort of creamy ivory colour. I'm thinking rather than a top, although actually, again, that would make, where did it go? I've got a mess here now, look. The strata top would look really nice in that. But actually, what a lovely dressing gown for summer that would be. So 100% cotton, lovely weave texture. That's a really nice choice as well. Then this is even heavier again. I think this is actually the perfect weight to make summer trousers. I've made some in the green, but in the interest of keeping us all on theme, you could make a bias cut dress in that would look really nice if you wanted something like a little summer dress. The Bondi dress would look stunning in this. It's just got a really beautiful drape. So this is also a linen viscose mix, but it's heavier. It's really heavy. I wouldn't want something that was full length in this because this fabric again will grow. So something like the Bondi dress would be great. Trousers work really well in this, but be warned, you need to make sure that your waistband fits really well. I've got a pair made in green, like I just said, and they went south the first time I wore them because I hadn't put strong enough elastic in the waist. I'd underestimated the amount of fabric and how heavy that would be in my trousers. But this is a really gorgeous choice, especially for lower halves, but also little strappy dresses. And then the heaviest fabric of all is, in fact, it's not the heaviest, but the thickest perhaps, is this textured, I don't even know what the composition of this is. It's an unknown, it's designer dead stock. And I have done some tests with this actually. One of my students wanted to make something, so she dyed it. So we know that it dyes really well. So here's some samples of different colour mixtures that she very kindly gave me snippets of. So that's the other brilliant thing about pale coloured fabrics. If they are made with a 100% natural fibre content, you can dye them. So even if you go off the idea of having a white top, you can change the colour and it means you get the custom colour for you. So if I ever think, oh, I just don't know whether I'd make something out of that fabric, I'd buy it anyway so that I've got something I can dye. If I like the feel and the way the fabric behaves, don't think of it as ivory or white cloth. Think of it as a basic canvas for the colour that you want to use. Anyway, there's me waffling on about plain coloured fabrics. I run out of things to say. I haven't run out of things to say. I've got loads of things to say. All of the fabrics that I've been talking about today are available on our website if you wanted to buy them. And I would love to hear whether the sound is better from you guys. And what are your favourite picks for basic summer tops? Comment below.